Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Sharpenstein and I'm going to be your instructor for this 5-week Anatomy 2 course. So, you found yourselves in Blackboard, you've opened up the intro video. I'm going to help you get your legs under you and how, in terms of how you're going to navigate this course, right? So the first tab here is going to be your student help and reference guide. If you need help with anything, if you need any resources, getting started in Blackboard, a technology guide, online netiquette, so being professional online, artificial intelligence, usage and integrity, the learning commons, bookstore online book information. You can read through these if you need help. These are great resources for you. This is a walkthrough that will help you set up your McGraw-Hill account if you haven't already. So everything in this course is going to be through our McGraw-Hill Connect online publisher. All of your quizzes, all of your labs, and your final exams. So students start here, course information. Gives you a quick course overview on your expectations, on what I'm expecting out of you. Okay, so obviously I'm recording it now, so there's nothing here, but there will be this intro video will be linked right here. My information, if you click on this, it tells you who I am, my email, and my office hours for the summer course are going to be online only, so you can only contact me via email. I will not be available in the classroom. I need to update this. I will do my best to respond to you within 2 business days. So if you do email me on a Saturday, you might not hear from me until Monday. So keep that in mind when you're doing work on the weekends. If you do come to something, you might not hear back from me till Monday. But with this 5-week course, I'm going to tell you all about how it'll be set up. So, course syllabus right here. You can open it up. Let's read through it. So I have a bigger version right here that we'll go through. Okay, so you do get 4 credits for this class. You get 3 for the lecture, 1 for the lab. It is 1 cumulative grade, though. I have gotten that question in the past, and yes, you do get 1 grade for Anatomy 2. If you are in this class, it's because you already took Anatomy 1 and you passed with a C or better, so that should not come as a surprise to you. We are using the same book that you used in Anatomy 1. This is the second half of it. And if you made it through Anatomy 1, then you shouldn't have any issues navigating it through Anatomy 2. Same book, same online publisher content, etc., etc. So, course competencies, what we did in the first half, we're going to expand upon on the second half of the book. So, class recordings, my lecture videos are available through YouTube. You shouldn't have any trouble accessing them. We'll look at those in a second. Workplace ethics agreement. So basically, if you miss about 15% of the class, you will be withdrawn. So that will show up as the W. It's 5 weeks. I suggest you buckle in, get her done. Summer semester is a great time to take a class, especially if this is your only class, because you do have all of your energy to put into Anatomy 2 to learn it. We do have 16 weeks of content in 5 weeks, but if this is your only class and you are putting all of your efforts into this, you shouldn't have too much trouble with it, but don't miss, more than 15% of, basically with an online class is the due date section, the due date piece. Professional conduct, I do expect you to email me professionally. Please use your own words. Don't use AI or ChatGPT to write your emails. It is clear as daylight. I would rather talk to you and not a computer. So just email me professionally, and we'll be great. Sky CTC's academic calendar will give you important dates and deadlines, like the last day for 100% refund, last day for a 50% refund, things like that for the 5-week semester. Withdrawal policy. Again, go through Sky CTC's academic calendar to find the last date to receive a W. For this class, it's going to be Wednesday, July 15th. That is the last day that you can get a W in this course. So, yeah, that's it. I'll move on from that. Inquiries and other class concerns. So if there's anything that I cannot answer for you, or it is impossible for me to answer for you and I need to contact my dean, this is her information. It's Dr. Jennifer Shoemake. She does prefer emails, or if you would like to schedule an appointment with her, you have to go through her administrative assistant at this phone number, which for our 5-week course, hopefully every question you have, I am able to answer for you. And we will be adhering to KCTCS's Code of Student Conduct. So just keep all communications professional and we'll be fine. And please, like I said, don't use ChatGPT to email me. It is clear as daylight. Freedom from retaliation, student discrimination grievance procedures. This is the contact information for that director. Accessibilities. Okay, so if you do need any accommodations for this course, if you need extended time on exams, you have to go through the accessibility services coordinator. I cannot give them to you. You have to go through this office, email them, give them a phone call if you need extra time, if you need anything else, any sort of accommodation that you might request has to go through this office. They are the ones that handle all of that. All that I get is an email with the specific accommodations that you individually require. And then, I make those accommodations, but you don't email me directly because I cannot do anything for you. It has to go through this office. Plagiarism or cheating, don't do it. Don't do it. There is one case study assignment in this course. You don't even have to use full sentences. You just have to answer the questions. Do not use AI to answer it for you. We do have AI readers. You do have to submit your work through SafeAssign. Don't get a 0 because you didn't use your own words or do your own research. It's too easy to avoid things like this. All right, FERPA. So FERPA states that if your parents were to email me about your grade, I can't discuss it with them. I can only discuss it with you. For anything further, you can read through the FERPA guidelines, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. I won't go into it super in depth, but just know that you are the only person that will be discussing your grade with. Now, dual credit students are a little bit different. If you are dual credit, then you know about that. But again, if you would like more information, you can click this link, read more about it. Grades, I round up if you're within half a percentage point. This is a roundabout total point situation that's going to be in this class. Now your weekly labs, I say weekly, your module labs are each going to be about 5 to 10 points depending on length and difficulty. Your case study is 100 points. You'll have a syllabus acknowledgement assignment worth 10 points. And you'll have 2 finals. You'll have the final lecture exam, which is going to be 200 points. And you'll have a final lab practical. That is a lab exam. It's called a practical because it's set up like in person and fill in the blank style. So final lecture exam, 200, final lab exam, 110 points. And then you'll have about 14 quizzes total, 25 points each. So this course does operate. I operate under the Central Standard Time Zone. If you do not live in Central Time, everything will pop up as Eastern Time Zone. So for that reason, I need to update this. This is for my weekly. Everything that you do have due in this class is going to be due at 10:59 p.m. Central Time, which is 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So don't get that confused, okay? Our course outline and weekly schedule. So here I have everything broken down into suggested pacing, okay? So you have modules every week, and each module has a quiz and 1 or 2 lab assignments associated with it. All of your module assignments are going to be due at the end of week 4. So Friday, July 24th is when all of this has to be submitted, okay? So each week, you have a chapter that we're covering. You have a quiz over that chapter. those quiz questions will show up again on the final. And then you have 1 or 2 labs. So you have virtual labs and you have APR labs. These are anatomy and physiology revealed. So if you see an APR lab, it's basically going anatomy and images and labeling and information about that, which we'll look at. If you see virtual lab, it's more of a virtual lab. You have to go in and, complete the lab like you would in a normal lab setting. So this is an anatomy study piece. The virtual lab is a interactive lab that you go through. Your final lecture exam will be over the quizzes. Your final lab practical is an exam over the APR and the virtual labs that you do, but they are also hand in hand with, what you learn in the quizzes. Lecture and lab content is linked directly. So you have unlimited attempts to get the score that you want on the quizzes and on the labs. Unlimited attempts. You can do it as many times as you want to. And I suggest that you do it a lot of times because that's what you're going to be tested over at the end of the semester with your 2 finals. So that being said, late work's not accepted. I'm not allowing extensions. You have unlimited attempts on all of these assignments. And they don't have to be you have unlimited attempts, so you're going to be submitting as you go. But if you don't like your grade, you can do it over. If you submit that, your highest grade is what's going to be counted, right? However, if you are not pacing yourselves with the suggested weekly pacing, and you find yourself week 4 trying to do all of this, you're not going to do well in this course. The last date that you can submit everything is Friday, July 24th. So that is the last day before week 5 of finals. So make sure you're pacing yourself. You're going through this. You're not trying to cram everything in on the last week of the semester, which unfortunately is only 5 weeks, right? So there's a lot of information that we're going through week by week. So week 1, you have circulatory system, blood. You have the endocrine system. You have the circulatory system, heart. So my suggestion is to get all of this stuff done your first week. Week 2, same thing. Week 3, 3 more modules, same pacing. And then week 4, you have 2 modules. So, but module 10 is both the male and the reproductive female system. The module 11 is just human development and aging. So basically what I'm saying is don't wait till the last minute to try and do all this work because you're not going to be successful. Pace yourself how I've suggested, and then you're not going to be stressed out when the July 24th deadline starts popping up. Okay? You do have a case study. Case study is also due that same day, Friday, July 24th, the last day before finals week. But I suggest that you start on the case study right after you do your lecture over the respiratory system, because that's what the case study is going to be over. That's going to be your best time while it's fresh on your brain to complete it. If you are using information outside of my lecture video, outside of this chapter information from our lecture book, please cite your sources. And like I said, do not use AI to write your answer for you. It doesn't even have to be in full sentences. I just want you to understand what you're reading about and be able to expound upon it, right? Critical thinking. Very, very important. Use of AI does not allow you to critically think for yourselves. That's the computer doing the work for you. So that's all I'll say about that. So this schedule is really not going to change. You don't have really any due dates to adhere by except for that Friday, July 24th due date for all your quizzes, all your labs, and your case study. The next thing that you have to finish by the deadline is your final comprehensive lecture exam, which is over the quizzes. So that must be submitted by Friday, July 31st. And then your final lab exam, your practical, which same deadline, okay? Your quizzes are proctored, so you will not be able to use anything while taking it. Your labs are not. So your final comprehensive lecture exam will be proctored. You'll have 2 hours to complete it. You will not be able to use any sort of outside information, so study your quizzes. Your lab practical exam will not be proctored, but same thing, you have 2 hours to complete it. It's fill in the blank, so if you go into it without studying, your time is gonna run out and you're not gonna do well on it. But for your lab practical, you are allowed to use your notes, and it's not proctored. Your final comprehensive lecture exam over the quizzes, that one is proctored. You are not allowed to use anything except for the information inside of your brain. You can read through my guidelines. I've pretty much covered everything there. No late work, no extra credit, no makeup work. And then if you do need any tutoring assistance, feel free to use any of these resources. All right, so let's look at Blackboard. Let's look at what this looks like. All right, so to get to your case study assignment, that's the only thing that's not going to be through Connect. That is an assignment through Blackboard. Oh, well, let me make all of this visible. You'll have to be able to look at it in order to complete it, and I need to update the due date there. But you go into it here, and you answer the questions, you submit it, and I do have to physically grade this one, but you do have to admit it through SafeAssign, so I will know if you are not using information that is your own. And it, again, also has that same deadline, July 24th, 10:59 p.m. Central, or 11:59 p.m. if you're in the Eastern time zone. And let's fix that to July 24th. Okay. Sorry about that. That should have already been updated. Okay. So that's where you access your case study assignment. And like I said, you want to work on this after your respiratory lecture. So this is how the modules are all broken down. You have 11 of them. Let's click on Module 1, Circulatory System, Blood. You have your module overview. Click on that. It tells you basically what we're covering if you want to read through that. Then you have your PowerPoint. So this is the PowerPoint that I record my lecture over. You're also able to download it if you want to, right here. Okay, so there it is, chapter 18. That's the PowerPoint, and this is the lecture video. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to YouTube, and you will hear my voice explaining everything that's on that PowerPoint. If you want to go through it, I definitely suggest that you listen to my lecture video, because that is what your quiz is going to be over. If you don't watch my lecture video, you're not going to do that well on the quiz, okay? So listen to the lecture videos, go through them, study them. Sometimes I have some extra content here, like blood typing with the Amoeba Sisters, another YouTube video. And then you have the actual chapter I get that information from. So if you hit launch assignment, we're going to preview this. It will just open for you. This is my thing. Okay, so this will open. It's not an assignment. You don't have any smart book assignments in this class. But if you do want to test yourself on the information, then you can. This is worth 0 points. This is just your book content. So if you hit start reading, it takes you to chapter 18 of the book. And you can read through everything if you like to read before you listen to the lecture video or take the quiz. That's your resource there. And then if you want to test yourself, again, this is just optional extra study material for you. So even though it says it's an assignment, this is not an assignment, so don't let it confuse you, okay? We're going to exit that assignment, and I'm going to return to Blackboard. So again, this is just the reading material, and if you want to test yourself, you can. This is for 0 points, so don't get bogged down with this. Where the points start is going to be the quiz. So you hit launch assignment, it'll take you to the lecture quiz. I have created the questions. The questions are from my lecture video. If you listen to my lecture video, I give you a lot of hints on what's going to be on the quizzes. It does take a while. The lectures are usually anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, but they're important. Okay, now we have our two different types of labs. We have APR, which stands for Anatomy and Physiology Revealed, and we have virtual labs. So if you open up your APR lab, just what you get a picture, and then you get, different labels. This will pop up. Okay, so whatever you click on will highlight what's on the picture. So erythrocytes, red blood cells, highlighted in blue are all your red blood cells. Neutrophils, highlighted in blue are your neutrophils. Platelets, highlighted in blue are all of the platelets in this image. Now, you can just click through those and hit next and you'll get full credit. But if you want to study this, because it will end up being on your lab practical, I heavily suggest that you look at structure information. So all of this breaks down everything that I talk about in my lecture video. You can click through it like that with information. So erythrocytes, location, blood vessels or body, location, heart, description, biconcave disc shape, mature cells like nuclei and organelles, and they make up 99% of the formed elements of blood. All of this is information I talk about in my lecture video. This is just a different visual aspect for you, but it's also a lab that you do have to complete for points. And you can click through those. But if you do just click, and you have those check marks, you can go on to the next activity, and your activity level is complete. You don't actually have to hit this information section. I suggest that you don't just click through it, but I did want to tell you that is what you do to move through this assignment. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. I always suggest just reading through that. The more you read, better shape that you are. But I'm going to click through this so we can move on so you can see what it looks like when you are completely finished. If you try to move on to the next activity without clicking on monocyte, for example, it will tell you that you have not completed it and you must study all of the lectures, all of the structures. Now we're done. And so we hit submit. And great job. You got 100% on everything. You got full points for this assignment. And you can hit submit if you haven't already. All right. So that's the APR. That's what every APR assignment is going to look like for the lab. This is a virtual lab. So whenever you open up virtual lab, it will take you to this introduction page. It'll have some key concepts, an overview, and then before you begin, some terms that you have to be apprised of. I suggest you read this page so that you can have a heads up on what you're doing. You can move on to lab simulation by clicking here or clicking continue to lab simulation. And the instructor note kind of tells you how long it'll take you to complete this lab. Now, something about virtual labs, if you don't click exactly, so see this information preview mode, you cannot click on anything until you exit out of that. And now you can start clicking on stuff. Now, let's say we want to drag pencil. If you click and drag, it's not going to work, okay? You have to just click on this label once and drag it to wherever it needs to be labeled. So identify equipment in the lab, phase 1. Let's find the pencil. We have the pencil here. We have the test sera here. We have pipettes here, sharps container, test chart, toothpicks, microscope slides. Oh, microscope slide, and then box of microscope slides. We can try to go to phase 2, but we didn't complete it. We have to correct our mistakes. So what did we forget? We forgot to label blood samples. So it won't let you move on to the next phase until you complete every single thing. So make sure that you are reading these step by step by step. If you accidentally skip a step, you will never be able to move on to the next phase. So that's the only thing about virtual labs. Read the instructions step by step in order to be successful and to move on to the next phase. Otherwise, it won't let you move through. And that's it. Pretty straightforward. And we'll go back to Blackboard. And those are the differences. So some weeks you'll have both. Other weeks you'll just have APR, like endocrine week. You have your quiz and your lab, and that's it. Heart week, you've got APR and a virtual lab. And you just move through all of those and stay at a steady pace because you do have a lot of stuff to cover. And like I said, the lecture videos are anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half long. But once you get through all of that and you look at your grades and you think, oh, I could probably get a better grade. Like I said, you have unlimited chances. You have unlimited chances for success. But once that deadline of July 24th, 10:59 p.m. Central or 11:59 p.m. Eastern hits, you will not be able to submit anything else from the labs, the quizzes, and the case study. Then the final exam. So like I said, the lecture final is proctored, the lab final is not proctored, and both must be submitted by 10:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on the above due date, which is Friday, July 31st. You only have one attempt at each final, okay? So if you close out of the final and you have not completed it, that score will auto-submit. You will not be able to get back into the final. So you only have one chance. Make it count. Make sure that you're in a good Wi-Fi setting, that you're not taking this at like a Starbucks or something. Make sure that you're in good internet area. Remember, the proctored final exam is the final lecture exam. The lab practical is not proctored, but it will be 2 hours long. And I have had students that have timed out and the exams have automatically submitted and they've asked me for extra time. And unless you had an accommodation for extra time and that extra time was already built in, I was not going to open it back up for you. So make sure you're pacing yourselves, you're studying, you're completing these labs and these lecture quizzes. And yeah, reach out with any questions. Now, Blackboard messages I will not be using. You will be able to get into Blackboard messages, but I will have them turned off for this course. So make sure that you email me. My email can be found in a lot of different areas. I'll send you an email before class starts. You can find it in my instructor information, several different spots. But yeah, reach out with any questions. I think this is pretty much straightforward. Don't wait to the last minute to do all of this because you will not be successful in this course if you do wait until the last minute. Okay. That's all I got. Good luck. These next 5 weeks are going to pass by really fast. So yeah, I wish you all the best of luck. Bye.